My name's Kenny. I'm with Grumpy Bushcraft. Today we're going to talk about fire. I love fire. Fire does a lot of things. It should be one of your first priorities besides shelter, depending on the situation that you're in, to go ahead and get started first. Cold weather here in Georgia right now. It's about 35, 36 degrees out here. In the shop, it's right around 40, so it's not that horrible bad. But what I want to show you today is my favorite way to start fire when things are calm and I'm not in an emergency. Okay, I don't need to get a fire going. I'm not in an emergency situation or a survival situation. What this is based on is I was watching the battle games from BattleBox, the first episode, season 2, episode 1, and one of their priorities is to get a fire going, to purify water, and to get a shelter up. Those three things. Now, their objective was to use flint and steel. And the way some of these people were using flint and steel, I was yelling at my TV, going, "That's not how you use it. These are supposed to be bushcrafters and survival people." And apparently, a lot of them didn't know it. So that's what I want to show you today. The very simplest, easiest way to get a fire going using flint and steel. Now, when I'm off into the woods, one, I always have a lighter with me. Lighter is a fast, easy way of getting a fire going. It's readily available. A lot of people use this first. I don't like it. This is my emergency backup in case I need it or I want to light a cigarette. My other way is to use my camp kit. This is just my camping knife. I know people are going to be asking. This is a Chamonix by LT Wright. It's got a 90-degree spine. That's well loved. I also have a ferrocerium rod here on the back by Exotech. It's got an aluminum handle, some Gorilla Tape. Probably one of the better ferrocerium rods out there. It's not incredibly soft. It's definitely not incredibly hard. It's kind of like that nice, even in the middle, so it can scrape really well. Throws off really great sparks. In my pouch, I just have a few knickknacks that I like to carry on my belt. One is just a small piece of paracord. Put that down there. I have an awl, which is by Kelso, so I can pick up my food or pick splinters out. I've got a Exotech fire light candle, 4-hour candle. Story behind this and why I keep it, I'll tell that later, and probably in another video. I keep another lighter, several pieces of fat wood, if I can get it out of there. Alright, nice big chunks of it. And then an all-torch tin with a really cool Velcro strap by my buddy HCO Strops, and a little tin that holds let's see here, holds a couple fire plugs, holds holds a sharpener from Wazoo, and just other little things that I might need around the camp or if I'm away from camp. All right, but this is my primary. This is my go-to if I'm out and about on the camp or just out walking my property. I'll throw this on my belt if I'm not using my other belt knife that I carry with me every single day. But today we're talking about my fire kit. This is my personal preferred way of getting my fire going when Things are nice and calm. I'm not in a rush. If I'm in a rush, I'm going to use either my ferrocerium rod or my lighter. Situational dependent, of course. But I'm not in a rush. I'm using this kit right here. And this is just basically my flint and steel kit. This is my Firebird I got from James Gibson. We did a trade. I gave him a book and he gave me a really awesome piece of gear. And then in this little box right here in my 10, I'll go a little close up, is a piece of fat wood, but is a piece of flint. All right, basically it's just a rock. All right, and then if you can't see, it's kind of hard to see, but it is charred material. Now I like using old blue jeans. Okay. Now, what I saw in the video was people doing this. All right. That really got me. I'm like, it's not a ferrocerium rod, guys. You can't just scrape the metal with a rock and open for sparks. The trick is either I prefer, now this is how I do it. You've got to figure this out on your own. But you get your steel in one hand, your rock in the other. And this is how I like to teach people. First, you start doing this. You get a motion going. It's just up and down. Then you introduce your rock. And pretty soon, you'll get sparks. Now, I'm going to get real close for you guys. Watch this. A lot of people will hold this at a 90-degree angle to the floor. And yes, you can get sparks that way. But I have found that if you tilt your rock about a 45-degree angle, you get better sparks. Okay? Now there's two ways of getting a little bitty spark onto your charred material. But let's take a back step for just a second. Your rock has to be harder than your carbon steel. What I mean by that, that's why with flint or chert type of rocks, they're harder than the steel. So in essence, what you're doing is you're taking your hard freaking rock and you are getting itty bitty pieces of metal to come off of that steel. And that is what you are producing sparks with, is this little tiny pieces of metal coming off of your steel. This piece of charred denim, which that's what I prefer. You can use a charred t-shirt, just it has to be a cotton. I like to roll it up and chart that way. Now, I'm going to cut this so I'm not using a whole bunch of material here. You really, honestly, truly, if you got your bird's nest correct, if you got your bird's nest properly made, then it should only take about this much. And that is not a whole lot. Okay, now, there are people that will take it and put it on the bottom. All right, I am a guy that likes to put it on top. And if you notice right here, I'll put all these exposed fibers right there. I'll get that to where my steel will have a better chance of catching an ember. All right. Now, because it's nice and compact, this will burn you'll keep a coal for a while, or an ember for a while. Okay. It'll work. Now, what I mean by that, now, and this is not going to be one you got to do it one time, boom, you got it mastered. No. Don't get it twisted. You're going to have to practice this over and over and over and over again until you understand your technique and the way it comes to you. Because the way I do it is not going to be the way you do it. And might have similar, techniques and similar motions, but it's not going to be the same. Mine's going to be totally different. Hold on right there. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So, a good way to practice this in your garage with very minimal material and very minimal expense. I know a lot of us guys and gals, ain't gonna leave y'all out, wear blue jeans that get torn or ripped up. Save those. Cut them into strips like this. Okay, this makes really great material to char. You get yourself a little tin, a little Altoids tin, put it in the fire. Tons of videos on how to do that. I'm not going to explain to you. You guys are not dummies. But I put mine into strips like this, char them up, send them off to the side. Now, for my practice bird's nest material, you go to Walmart and you get jute twine. Doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be a lot. Just has to be a little bit. Okay. And you put this in here. Now, this right here is what's going to take forever. And I'm not going to bore you with it. I'm going to skip to me having the bird's nest. But I'll explain it to you real quick. You take it apart. All right. These are 3 strands. And you take them apart and you twist it apart. Okay. And you twist it apart. And you twist it apart. All right. And then once you got the 3 strands twisted apart, okay, like that, then you're just gonna rough it up. And you do that with all 3 strands until you have a nice sizable bird's nest. I'm gonna cut this out and then we'll jump forward. All right, through the power of editing, I got most of my strands all broke down, okay? And we're gonna pull these apart, all right? And we're gonna make a itty bitty bird's nest, all right? Again, we're just stripping the jute twine. You can have as much or as little as you want. If you're starting out, I suggest you get a lot, a metric crap ton, okay? And you keep pulling it apart, you keep pulling it apart until you get a bird's nest, all right? And it should look something like this, all right? Like I say, I'm using it very little, okay? Because I'm using some of my teaching materials here, all right? Okay, so I'm going to set this down off to the side here, All right. And then I'm going to cut off some more of my charred material. I'm going to put this back on my rock. All right. I'm going to do my technique again. I'm going to do my up and down. Introduce this at a 45-degree angle. Maybe you have to adjust it a little bit. I almost had it, jumped off. There we go. I got my little ember. Now I'm going to take my ember. I'm going to place it here right into my little bird's nest there. Now I'm going to gently blow. I'm going to fold it in. And we have fire. Oh. All right. Then you add that to more sticks and you build it up, build it up, build it up. And now you got a raging fire. So, to recap. Rock, harder than your carbon steel. First thing we want to do is we want to just practice. And practice and practice and practice and practice. To where you can get sparks almost about every other hit. And then you introduce your char cloth. And then you introduce your bird's nest. And you step it up and you step it up until you can create your fire. Alright? Guys, this takes practice. This is not one of those one-time things that we could go, boom, I got it. Done. I'm a master at it. No, you're not. No, you're not. For me, learning flint and steel, it took me at least no less than 100 times of getting it, creating a fire, and creating a fire, and creating a fire, and creating a fire, in order to comprehend the flint and steel. Okay? So there you go, guys. Flint and steel. One of the funnest ways to create fire and to wow everybody. Because all it is just having a heat source and putting all the components together. Alright? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you want to learn more, please visit my website. I've got it up and running, grumpy-bushcraft.com. Come see me at events. I'll be in North Carolina in April. And then I'll be at Georgia Bushcraft also in April for the spring camp out. Or you can hit me up on all the socials, Instagram, Kenny Brunswick on Facebook, or even here on YouTube. All right? Appreciate it, guys.